An office favorite, that's what the script says, is celebrating a big birthday. The Cubicle is turning 50. How can you take advantage of the design? We'll show you in 2 minutes. If you work in an office, chances are you sit in a cubicle. Now, whether you love or hate it, it's a staple of office life. And guess what? It's 50 years old. So how has this office mainstay changed? And what can you do to make your life in a cubicle better? Organizational psychologist Dr. Woodward has some tips. Thanks for coming on the show, Dr. Woody. Great to have you here. Before we go any further, though, I want to show the Willis Report staff in their cubicles because they don't like it. They're not happy. They tell me all the time, if we have that picture, right there it is. Do those people look happy? No, they do not.
Gerri, you need to lead them to freedom. You need to find a way to emancipate them from this cube land.
It is frustrating, though. And everybody has on headsets, and there's no collaboration. I mean, you would think that people sitting out in the open like that might talk once in a while, but it really doesn't lend itself to it.
Well, as a little bit of history, the cube was debuted, or I should say the predecessor to the cube, by Herman Miller in 1964.
Famous furniture
very
designer.
famous furniture company. But here's the thing. You know, when you go from intent to execution, sometimes you lose things along the way. The original cube had people like me involved in designing it, psychologists who understood behavior. The idea was to help people flow better and focus. And unfortunately, it has kind of morphed away from that and now become more of like little mini prison cells around the office. And
flow and focus. That's what you're telling me it's all about. Well, okay, just to fun this up a little bit, Zappos has some flow going on and some focus. Take a look at a picture of what Zappos does. It's pretty crazy. They go nutty over there. And toys, stuff hanging from the ceiling. You can see it in the background here. I don't know what those two guys are interviewing each other.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that's probably driven by Tony Hsieh, you know, their founder and CEO. But here's the thing. It's one thing when you decorate stuff and make it fun. And part of that is really their culture. And you want to kind of enliven your culture and encourage it. But that doesn't really get to the issue of design. So in other words, cubes are very kind of become mechanical and functional. It's a way to like, how can we pack as many people in a room in a little rat maze and get them working? The idea is you need to get people focused. So what also drives me crazy is not just the cube world, but also this move towards collaborative spaces, which isn't really much better when you walk in, like you say, you see people at a big long table and they have headphones on. That's a workaround. That should tell you something. It's not working. And one of the biggest issues, the design firm Gensler did a survey. They found that 77% of people prefer quiet to focus. So how are you going to get quiet if you have as many people jammed in a room, whether in a cube or at a table, as possible? So
Dr. Woody, 93% of Americans say they dislike the cubicle.
They hate it.
93%. Yes. Nobody likes it, yet this is the organizational style we're in. And I think, you know, one of the interesting facts that you point out is that the cubicle is getting smaller and smaller.
Yes, in its middle age, apparently. At 50, it's getting smaller. I think from 2010 to 2012, they had a 22% drop in the amount of space per person in offices. So we're cramming people together, we're creating more noise and distraction, and they're not getting much done. So there's a couple of things I think you can do that, you know, managers and executives should really think about. And these are design principles. First is choice. We like choice. Choose where you can work when you create an environment. And an organization that does a great job of this is Bacardi. I was at their headquarters offices not long ago in Coral Gables, where they have private spaces, social spaces, and the ability to choose where you need to go.
So you can go anywhere you want to go?
Right. That's the idea. So if you need private space to be on a phone call or just to focus and not be disturbed, you can use that space.
But what if I want to hang up my calendar and I want my little plush toys
around?
No,
they have dedicated spaces because it's important. You want to give people their own kind of territories a lot of times because we like that. We need our own space to own and put stuff. But if that's in a social area, we also need places to go to be private. And also to be social and to collaborate. So you want to give people options and choice, not just cram people like, you know, cattle into a
Reminds me of New York hotel rooms. Thanks so much for Dr. Woody, although the hotel rooms are admittedly bigger, but not much. Dr. Woody, thanks for coming on. Great stuff. 50 years old, the Cubicle. Who would have thought?